the top 25. Plenty of moving and shaking here, but just going through the top 5, not huge movements. We did see Alabama fall out, as we kind of expected, but Tennessee has moved in to number 5, number 4, Houston, number 3, Florida, Duke in at number 2, and Auburn bringing in all 60, at least in the AP, all 60 first place votes. Ironically, I did look this up. The coaches poll, Duke actually got 2 coaches, number 1 picks, or number 1 votes, I should say. Some other storylines, big news, falling out of the top 25. We talked about them last week a lot. Kansas out of the top 25. That ends 80 weeks, 80, of being ranked. 2021 was the last time they were not. Michigan State moves up into the top 10. And of course, kind of on the back of last night beating Maryland in College Park, they are 22-5. Might actually be 23-5 before I update it. I don't know. But either way, also Clemson and the aforementioned Maryland were some of the big movers. Some of the big fallers, unfortunately, the big man is not there, and Purdue is feeling it. They've fallen a bit. Marquette and Texas A&M both stumble a bit. But once again, when we're talking about the tournament, none of these teams, even Kansas, unless they really fall apart. Even then, Kansas is going to be in, and all of these teams will be. But Raider Jim, your thoughts on the week that was in the top 25?
Yeah, not sure how I feel about the Auburn thing. I will tell you, it's like Ric Flair always says, "You to be the man, you got to beat the man." And when you're sitting at number 1, okay, well then somebody beat them and take care of business. But from the Auburn standpoint, I'm thinking back to a few years back when Gonzaga rode number 1 for almost the entire season. Baylor runs number 1 for almost the entire season. Boy, that's a hard one when you finally get down to those last 6 weeks, and it becomes a 6-game season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeesh, anything can happen, and I'm looking specifically, depending on how things would line up, if Oregon State happens to somehow get into that tournament, I would not want to be matched up against an Oregon State because they are pretty dangerous, I think. But Auburn, congratulations to them for what they're doing. Kansas, like you said, 80 weeks. It was a good run while it lasted, but it ain't there no more. Izzo is back. I know last year we questioned Tom Izzo and what happened to the Spartan mystique, but he just kind of shook the dust off his shoes and came back, and here he is. They're riding a 4-game winning streak, including they have beaten those 4 wins. They have beaten 3 top 20 teams, including Michigan. So they're definitely, they're not just getting by. They're actually making statements each and every game. St. John's went out over the weekend, took care of business like we thought they would against UConn, and they did it by 14 points.
Ominous.
That's pretty darn convincing. I don't know if that speaks more for UConn's abilities or St. John's abilities, but I'm going to give the credit and the nod to St. John's on that one. Purdue, because you had some teams down here that are took some drops. Marquette, they lost, of all things, they've lost to Creighton and Nova, who are really struggling this year.
Yeah.
Purdue has lost 4 straight. A&M, I think it is, has lost 3 straight.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's pretty rough at this time of year. You don't want to be doing that. Duke, watch out. They're dangerous. They don't have to have Coach K in there. They're just a well-coached program, and they're firing on all cylinders right now. Yeah, it's going to be a good couple of weeks leading up to the 16th of March.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I know obviously Michigan State took them down last night, but I've seen a few games from Maryland, and they're a sneaky team. You talk about a team that you don't want to play, especially now. They're kind of in that 4 through 5, maybe 6 range, 6 if it goes really badly. I don't think anybody's going to want to see them on the weekend of that first, matchups going forward. Michigan State, you mentioned Tom Izzo back. I wonder if it just took a little while or maybe a little bit longer for the elder statesman to either, figure out the transfer portal or essentially get out. We saw Boeheim get out, and then we saw obvious Jay Wright was before this. I don't know if you can, put that there towards him, but we've seen a lot of situations where, some of the older coaches have essentially just without well, I mean, some of them have straight up said it, like, "I can't do this, like, I can't recruit even my own guys." And Izzo, I think myself, I know, I was definitely wondering, "Uh-oh, is this someone that the transfer portal is gonna pass them by?" Does not seem like that is the case, but we shall see if this is just maybe a one-year thing, because that's the other part. Sometimes you do get kinda lucky with some transfers, and then guess what? Everyone leaves again, and then we go back to where they were, but obviously Izzo is that name. And it's